Hello, honorable client. So, guys, let's talk about something else that just crossed my mind while I was laying in bed. You know, while we are going through this nostalgic journey together, you and me, there are some things that I think some people don't understand. How life used to be like in the 90s, early 2000s in South Africa before, well, everything went down to the dogs. Yeah, things went down to the dogs. That's just the truth. It is the truth. The governing party that took over from the apartheid regime, inept. And I am not saying that the apartheid regime should come back. It was evil. It was declared a crime against humanity. But when it comes to things, now let's talk about the obvious stuff. That even though the apartheid government hated us, right? But if you look at the housing that they provided for black people, and I know there are gonna be some black people be like, oh yeah, now you grew up in that household. It didn't fall apart, that 4-room. It did not fall apart. Unlike the RDP houses that the moment you go in, suddenly there's cracks on the wall. Why? Because the person who got the tender to build the RDP houses doesn't even know the back door of a lecture room in university doing town planning, let alone anything about geology, anything about climatology. They don't know nothing because you know why? These are the same people that left during break thinking it was school home time. And they got tenders of tens, sometimes even hundreds of millions of rands to build RDP houses. And those RDP houses, matchboxes. And look at the townships where we come from, those houses, even though, yes, I understand the whole psychology of creating those townships after black people were forcefully removed from their own land into these places where they were far off from the economic centers. That's just how apartheid worked, and I acknowledge that. But I'm acknowledging as well, I come from Hammersdale in KwaZulu-Natal. It's a township between Pietermaritzburg and Durban. And also, you can even include Pinetown as well, because when we used to go shopping, it's either we go to Durban or we go to Pinetown or we go to Pietermaritzburg for shopping. And that township, I wish you guys could actually, take a tour if you're ever in KwaZulu-Natal, especially when you are traveling along the N3. Just go in there. Whether you're black or white, nothing's going to happen to you. There's no crime there. You can just go in and check. Just before you enter, as you're about to take the roundabout going down into the township, just look at the, when I say beauty, anyways, the township itself, when it was built, I think maybe at that time when that township was built in South Africa during apartheid days, it was probably the only township that had tarred roads inside. I'm talking main road and the tributaries that are going into the sections. So they had, and I remember very well as a kid, we used to have the refuse truck coming at least 3 times a week, if it was not twice a week. We even used to sing this song, Ganda Ganda Matio, Nsimbi Zabelu, Gayo Pelep, or somewhere around that time, around that line, and we used to chase after that vehicle. But I don't want to talk about that. I'm just, again, going through a lot of things that I'm thinking, listen, are we that bad when it comes to governance? We need to tell the truth, guys. And then there was I know this is it might pour salt to some wounds that people don't want to talk about. But I can't remember who it was, whether it was Pick Botha or Kruger or somebody said something about black leadership. I will leave it there. You can go and check it out on your own, and if you're honest with yourself, then you'll be able to say, yeah, I'm honest. But to be fair as well, I do see in my comment section where there are some white people who think black people are incapable. Now, you need to understand whether you had your head buried in the sand during the days of apartheid, or you were aware or you were not aware, but we will tell you from our experiences that how apartheid really did mess things up for us. Number one, it came to the education system. I don't know if you ever heard of Bantu education before. If you never heard of Bantu education before, I will just summarize it to you. It was an education system that was designed for black people to learn how to only read and write. And when they calculate, they don't go as far as algebra, geometry, trigonometry, logs, and all of that stuff. It was not designed for things like that, because obviously when you have a plan on how to get your servants to be subordinate to you, you don't want them to be critical thinkers. All right? And let alone, you do not want them to learn how to create stuff, how to govern, how to lead, how to innovate, etc. and so on, because you designed the brain of the population to think not beyond their nose. That's just the whole point of Bantu education. A slave, basically, education. As long as they know how to read and write, we are fine. That type of situation. Now, when it came to the 1994, or let's say from 1992, when there was negotiations between the NP party, the ANC, and all the other political parties, black political parties, you must also understand that the people that were sitting before, Pik Botha, whoever those people were from the apartheid days, y'all came from a very well put together education system that produced geniuses. I mean, let's talk about Chris Barnard, right? Let's talk about all these today are known to be multi-millionaires. These are the people that went to good school. Look at Elon Musk, went to Pretoria Boys High School. I mean, that used to be my rival school when I was in high school. But that education system, and I also happened, because I'm the first generation black kids that when South Africa started opening and especially the white schools, they started taking in black people. My brother and I were the first black kids in the schools that we went to. We were the only black ones. And so we caught on that education that you guys used to get. We caught on to that, and we know, and I know the quality of that education, and I am the product of that education system, because there is nothing you can put in front of me without me first analyzing it. Sometimes a thing, when it's coming from afar, by the time it gets to me, I've already tore it apart, looked into it, analyzed it, put it together, and by the time it's here, I am managing it, so that I do not find myself in a situation where I'm going to regret or feel stupid or feel fooled or anything. Like, I question things. That is what that education taught me. And I know it taught also a lot of other black kids, whom today are called coconuts because of the way we speak. They say we're black on the outside but white on the inside, sometimes the way we speak. And it even went as far as when we were called clever blacks, because these clever blacks, there are too much of critical thinkers, not easily manipulated as well, like what the ANC has been trying to do and installed an education system that is producing, to be honest with you, majority stupid people. I am so sorry if you got that education ka NG Mutsecha. And I know that the person that introduced it was Kada Asmal as Minister of Education back. But it was implemented and pushed by NG Mutsecha. And I know that also this, I don't even know what is it called. What's it called, this education system again? Yeah. I know it also produced good, smart people, but their smartness is still enclosed. Whether they're getting distinctions, they're getting only A's, and they're getting what, but you go to, I will challenge you to go to Wits University, go to UCT, go to Stellenbosch, go to all these our own versions of Ivy League universities, and then ask a student, that you expect that when you ask a question, the expansion will be so long that they will leave you impressed, simply because they probably saw beyond this education system. Like, hang on, this education system did not or is not benefiting me, and it's not making me to be a world class when it comes to intellect. All right, you can do that. Why? And you cannot also blame them because of the enclosure that this education system has created from them stretching their minds. Unlike that education system that we had, it stretched your mind. Literally, you would feel a headache thinking. I mean, you will be asked the most difficult of questions, but you still have to give your own opinion, and that opinion must be substantiated with a lot of things for it to make sense. I mean, I remember or Tambo. My mom used to be involved in the ANC, and then they would write letters to, I think these letters, they ended up to him because I think at the time he was the Secretary General of the ANC. This man, he would read and he would understand the letter, but if the grammar was wrong, he would mark the letter in red and send it back and say, rewrite it and bring it back to me. That's how I learned that when you are doing things, you need to be meticulous. Just because we are a group of whatever ethnicity we are, we cannot just accept mediocrity, which what this ANC has been doing to this country. They are creating mediocrity. And then when you take this mediocrity and you put it on the world stage, the humiliation, the embarrassment that some of us get. Again, not all education facilities or establishments, they teach exactly this education system, because I do see with some schools, they do mix with the old one so that they create what? Critical thinkers. These are the kids that you see go compete academically on world stage and come back with trophies as number 1 or number 2 or number 3 in the world. And that sort of kind of paints at the best education system in Africa type of situation, because some of those teachers, they break through this education system that was brought in by the ANC to water down the thinking capacity of our children. All right, so all of this, I am saying, the nostalgia that I am coming across is, wow, to get 50% in high school was like pulling tooth without the anesthetic. Is that how you say it? That medication to numb you, just to get 50%. Today, 30% you're okay. But I also want to move on to another thing that I was thinking about when I was a student. You know, student poverty today is evil. These marches that you see and strikes and breaking of infrastructure by university students, again, this is all part of the education system I'm talking about. We used to also struggle to register back in the day for university. But we never took to the streets and vandalized and did all the stuff that they're doing today. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why. When we were students, Rosebank downtown, I think as well Midrand, before all these fancy stuff that, remember Rosebank used to be a 5-minute walk shopping center, the Zone? Before it's the Rosebank Mall as it is today, it was not like that. There used to be restaurants there, and there used to be like Pick and Pay and other shops. And at Vinci, we used to register with a certain agency that will look for jobs for us. And then all you have to do as a student was to go down West Campus at Vinci University, but the career center, and then you look at the whiteboard and you will see jobs that are advertised there. Whichever job that you felt like, oh, I want to take this one, then you go to the person at the window and tell them and give them the job and the code, what job you would like to do, and then you'll get a call from them to tell you that, okay, this job is for 4 days, or this job is for 3 days, or this job is for 24 hours, or this job is like whatever the requirement is. And we used to get a lot of restaurant jobs. A lot of restaurant jobs. Students used to run restaurants in Rosebank. Students used to run restaurants in Bedfordview, as well as downtown Joburg, Pretoria. Anyway, there was restaurants. This is where we saturated these businesses. Same goes when it comes to what do you call that thing when stock. Okay, I'll tell you. When you're packing up stuff in shops, I think it's called stock taking. I remember I worked at Pick and Pay probably 3 or 4 times. I didn't like that whole thing. I just didn't like it. But we had jobs, guys. And with the restaurants, what I loved about it, they used to pay us in fortnight. Is it fortnight? Yeah, 2 weeks. And it was 550 Rand fortnight. And 550 Rand back in 2001, 2002 was a lot of money for a student. Because that means student poverty was non-existent. We had food. If we were staying in catering rests, we bought the latest cell phones, and we were also able to take care of our families back home, because some of us came from other provinces and then we left poverty there, and you are at school because everybody now is depending on you to finish school and get a job and then remove your family out of poverty. All right? Today is called black tax, in case you have not heard of this terminology before. It's called black tax today. Now, anyways, I'm not there. That's a video for another day. But the point that I'm making here is that the restaurant industry or the hospitality industry was the students, the people that ran it. Before now, the restaurant owners discovered gold in exploitation of illegal foreigners in this country. And as a result of that, that is why registrations, you're getting students striking. And when they strike, they destroy things. That's not an excuse. As a matter of fact, that's stupidity at its best. Because I don't understand vandalizing the robots. How is it going to change your situation? Burning something, how is it going to change your situation? Because if you are caught, that means when you are arrested, you get yourself a criminal record. Which this comes back to the education system. Because a person that comes from a good education system, they will do educated calculations. Like, if I touch this and I am caught, I'm going to go to jail. And then I'm going to get myself a criminal record. And what's the point of going to school thereafter? You see what I'm trying to say? We were able to save up money. Like, if I got a job in January, or maybe in February when the university opened, if I was getting 550 Rand per fortnight, I know that 250 Rand goes into the savings. And I'm going to make sure that it reaches the following year's registration fee. At that time, it was like 2,000 Rand, 2003, I could be wrong, or 1,500 Rand to register at Wits University when you are accepted. So you are able to save up that money, and then come registration time and you are able to pay your registration. Then you also apply for NSFAS. In most cases, we got the NSFAS, and then out of that NSFAS, we used to get as well an allowance of 1,500 Rand, if I'm not mistaken. And out of that as well, we're still able to take some money, save up for the following year's registration, take some back home, some we were able to keep away student poverty. But today, the restaurant industry or the hospitality industry, it does not hire even one student. If it does hire students, It's mostly, of course, if the restaurant is owned by a white person, and I understand as well why a white-owned restaurant will hire other white people because of BEE as well as affirmative action. I get all of that. But there are some things that I feel like that I also have to mention in these days that we used to have a great time as South African students. The tips. The tips. Unfortunately, again, my people, they hated tipping. White people, that is why sometimes we always cross our fingers like, let me get a table with white people because I know I'm going to walk away with a tip. So that is an addition to the 550 Rand. That is why sometimes some of us would make around 5,000, sometimes even 11,000 a month because of these jobs. And you can imagine earning all that amount of money. We never worried about registration the following year. Sometimes we even removed ourselves from NSFAS and started paying our own school fees from the monies that we earned from restaurants. White people played a pivotal role in students. I'm talking white patrons of these restaurants. I remember there was several times where I would serve a table of white people, whether it's a husband and a wife, a boy and a girl on a date, or whatever the case was, and then they'll sometimes will order just coffee, and then they'll pay in 200 Rand bill, and then when I go to, this is before speed points, I will go to the till to get the change, and as well, and all the other stuff, and when I get to the tables, they are gone. I remember keeping the money in my pocket, coming with the money this is change. I will come with it every single day for 3 months without touching it because I'm hoping they'll walk through the door and say, hey, I don't know if you remember me, I paid for 2 coffees with 200 Rand and I didn't get my change. You actually had to read between the lines that that's your tip. And I used to get that all the time. I don't know. Probably it was my smile and also the way I did things as well. I don't know. Because I went all out. I went all out for the tables that I served. All out. And all of us did the same thing. And those were the days, guys. Those were the days. But today, South Africans are not wanted in the hospitality industry. And as a result of that, we are seeing what we are seeing. Coupled with the watered down education system where these students, when they are grieved about something, they take it out on infrastructure. So I don't know how this is going to be resolved. I'm just letting you know, if you're a restaurant owner, this is what you guys did. You alleviated student poverty. Lots of students today are poor. NSFAS is not enough, especially also the allowance they get from NSFAS. They still have to go and take care of their parents back home with the money that's supposed to be going towards textbooks, course packs, tutorials, and all of these things. And all that money we used to get from these restaurants. And we did very well as well at school at the same time because the restaurant manager or the restaurant owner, sometimes they wanted to us to submit our timetables so that they're able to see that, oh, okay, if he is sitting or she's sitting there and it's their break time, leave them alone. Even if it's busy, leave them alone, let them able to finish up whatever they need to finish up with the homework or assignment or whatever the case. You guys understood. You're understood. And that is why the restaurant industry is so personal to me. So personal to me. And I'm hurt that South Africans are not hired in the hospitality industry, particularly the restaurants. Simply because if you're a foreign national, the tip that you get, the restaurants take. And the person from Zimbabwe or wherever they're coming from, they have no say. And yet we used to get our tips. We used to get our tips. Even when the tip was paid through a card. At the end of the day, the managers will be like, okay, did you guys write out how much you got? If you said we didn't know, they were still honest and tell you this is how much you made in tips through cards. and then they will give us in cash. We had money in our pockets like we were working. It was beautiful, guys. It was so beautiful. But these are the things that are just coming across my mind, and I'm thinking, how can they be fixed? Can we fix this? Can the new generation of students experience what we experienced, so that they have something in their pantries, especially those that are in a self-catering residence of colleges? Can they experience that, knowing that they don't have to worry? I mean, I remember my friends, sometimes they will not go to work because they have enough money. Some of them even started an airtime business. I don't know if you remember those airtimes that used to be in a voucher thingy like, and then you have to scratch for the series of numbers. Yeah, they used to sell that, and they made more money than anybody that had a 9 to 5 inside campus, because students needed to have airtime. And even though the price was a little bit high, if the airtime was 5 rand, they said it was 10 rand. If it was 10 rand, it will be 15 rand, and they will make a profit of 5 rand. And they used to make money, those students. Why? Because it's the monies that they got from restaurants. And then they take the money and they go order these airtimes, and then they'll sell to students inside campus, so that they don't have to go to work, some of them. I don't know what happened. I don't know how to fix these things, guys. These are the things that we should be discussing as a nation and saying, hey, this is part of the project of coming together as South Africans first. But I guess the bottom line is the bottom line, and that's what is important. And as a result of that, it's getting a lot of us and kicking a lot of us outside. And that is why you see the anger that you see. No, that's not an excuse. I still say that. It's not an excuse, but you need to also understand, hunger makes people angry. Anyways, I see I'm running out of time. I thought, let me come here and say what I said. What I said earlier in this video, I meant it. I meant it 100%, that it's not an excuse. Bunch of education is the result of what is happening in South Africa today. The people that took over governance, they knew nothing about governance. Some of these people were uneducated, sitting in parliament, can't read or write, some of them, simply because black people were in charge of the country now. They had needed to have members of parliament, and then those members of parliament were comrades that, I don't know, they were in the trenches or whatever the case might be, and they knew nothing about governance. So they became complacent after 1994. And I don't think that they actually do the work that needs to be done, because we will not be in the situation we are in. They did not know what they were doing, and they still don't know what they are doing, most of them. So that's it. That's in my thoughts. This is what's going on, and let the backlash begin with some people who choose not to listen. Again, I don't blame them. I blame the education system. The education system is a result of what we see, all the ignorance that we hear and witness, and that makes us so angry sometimes. Other than that, guys, let me go. Thank you so much for listening, and I appreciate the super thanks, guys. You guys are very generous. May you be blessed abundantly, you and your families and your generations as well. I appreciate you guys. Also, don't leave the video without liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And I'll see you next time with another nostalgic memory, I suppose. Goodbye.